Welcome in. Really excited for what we can cover today and what we've built with the Found Money bot. We can talk about the concept, but Jordan's the man when it comes down to being able to really bridge these concepts together when it comes to found money and really open my eyes up to what this whole concept could mean and how much opportunity there is literally right in our own backyards. Jordan, I think to kick things off, would love to hear just a bit of a background about maybe yourself and what found money means to you, what it can mean to the entrepreneurs and the business owners that are here on this summit. And of course, we have a demonstration as well that we'll be able to walk people through and share.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'll jump into a super quick backstory. So I started off around 2004, 5 or so, doing a lot of affiliate marketing. I got into product sales and started creating a lot of courses back when creating PDFs and selling them was cool. And it got to the point where I was selling several hundred to almost 1,000 or sometimes over 1,000 sales a day. And the big thing that I noticed is that my bank account wasn't, there was a certain point where you can scale, but your bank account doesn't actually grow with the sales you're bringing in. And I noticed that one day and spent several weeks trying to figure out what was going on. Because up until that point, there was a point where my revenue was growing with my sales growth. But then with the ad budget and everything else, it wasn't really scaling. And so I became obsessed with creating profit margin. And that's why I'm such a big fan of found money, just because so many businesses go through the process of getting a bunch of people in the door and finding message to market matches, which is one of the hardest things in business to do, and doing all the CRO, the tweaking, the setter bots, and all of this kind of stuff. And there's just money sitting there. There's unconverted people sitting there that they could convert and get into their business. And so I spent the last 8 to 9 years just completely obsessed with how to increase profit margin. And often the best ways are found money strategies and tactics that are just sitting there. And so that's where I started getting so good at it that I would do it as a profit partner for other businesses that were doing high volume and doing well, and even created a coaching group with some industry titans around it. And eventually it got to the point where I decided to create a whole event and product line around it called Profit Multipliers. And we saw the birth of it in a small mastermind that I run with Darby called AI Profits Accelerator. I remember there was one day where I was like, I think I'm going to do an event on this. And people were like, oh, that's cool. And we just talked about it for weeks until eventually it happened. I'll tell you, doing an event, as Darby, you all know, is a great forcing function for just taking action and doing things. You set a date on the calendar and it's like, all right, we're doing this. So yeah, Darby and Chris presented on it, and Tyrese was also there. It was awesome. Yeah, it's a little bit of backstory.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. And just to double up on the concept that you talk about here with found money, and I think it'd be helpful if we talk a little bit about what bolt-on offers mean and when it comes to that, because that's a term that you use that I don't think most people are familiar necessarily with what exactly that means. Maybe they know about the concept, but when we're talking about found money and what we're going to be demonstrating with this bot, what does a bolt-on offer mean to you, and what does that mean to the business that is looking for ways to not just make more revenue, but actually make more profit, and that's going to impact their bottom line?
Yeah, for sure. And also, I'll say we're going to talk about this in a second, but AI and found money are a match made in heaven, and there's some really cool stuff on top of what we're going to show you that we're working on or have in the plans. But yeah, the one thing I noticed is that with several of my businesses, there's always pent up demand in a business, no matter what, unless you're Elon Musk. And no, even him, like everybody, like every business, there's pent up demand somewhere. And what I mean by that is that, for example, in our online course business, we would have a bunch of people buying low ticket courses on different B2C topics, like how to get the commitment you want in your relationship, or how to get super ripped using calisthenics. And all these people would come in and buy these low ticket courses. And and then so this is one of the key concepts is just that there's always pent up demand. So think about it, when they come in and buy those low ticket courses, some of those people want one-on-one coaching, or some of them want supplements, or some of them want like software to help them track things. And any point that we're not fulfilling on some of that pent-up demand, that's a great opportunity for a bolt-on where, and what I mean by the bolt-on is where we find somebody else that can serve our customers really well and plug it in. But where we take it a step further is that a lot of people think of bolt-ons as just like a nice affiliate opportunity, which I think more businesses should focus on affiliate opportunities. But then where it gets exciting is when you add bridge concepts, in my mind at least, because in our world, we're making like 800 sales a day. And mostly all we were promoting on the back end were a few of our own products and then a bunch of affiliate products that were related to relationships. And there was a point where our revenue was just capped because we had found all of the good offers that we could promote in the relationship realm. And we just couldn't get the profit up. And I started thinking about this idea, like basically we started quizzing the audience and really listening to them about where they're at and the other phases of life that they're in, and started finding different cohorts inside of them. So some of them thought that fitness plus relationship was their key to success. And some of them thought that like money was a big thing because money is one of the biggest relationship problems. And it's also hard to go out there and date and have a good time if you're super stressed about money. And some of them had credit problems and different things. And so basically through a testing process, we found a whole bunch of different offers that were completely unrelated to relationships on the surface, but there's actually a lot of crossover between the two. And I can tell you, I know many business owners that have big lists and audiences that have these pockets of their audience completely untapped. They're looking for high ticket solutions or solutions that are outside of the market, like cross market solutions. And so I remember a couple quick examples. Like one of them, I was doing some research for a new product that we were creating, and I found the study that said that the number one thing a man notices first about a woman on a primal level is her skin. And it tells him all sorts of things about her fertility and all these different things. Like immediately, instantly, on a subconscious level, he gets all these indicators about a possible woman that he could date, which is powerful. And so I took that one study and used it to craft messaging to promote all sorts of different skincare products over time. And same thing for, I found a similar kind of bridge concept for business opportunities, which that one's pretty simple. It's just like you're going to have a lot more fun in dating if you're not worried about money, or in relationships. Like getting this area covered helps you have an enthusiastic love of life, which there's also a study on that, that the number one highest ranked attractiveness characteristic is an enthusiastic love of life. And so having that is tough if you're super stressed about money. And so that was another powerful bridge concept. And so we started opening up these different back end channels of things that we could promote. And it just completely expanded our back end revenue, a lot more than if we were just staying narrowly within relationship marketing or relationship markets. I don't know. Does that kind of answer the question? I could go deeper on that.
Yeah, I think from this concept, just because I know a lot of people in coming into the summit, this may be the first time that they're hearing about it, and so I love the practical examples of like where you can see this, but also tying it back into what we've learned from Travis Sago and the triangle of insight. How does that tie in to taking an existing list or an existing audience customer base that you have? How do you connect them with these concepts that might seem like completely out of left field, but there's a process that we developed that we're going to share with you guys here through the Found Money AI bot that helps with bridging that concept through it. But I'd love if you could just talk a little bit more about what that triangle of insight means and how it can be applied to helping have more meaningful conversations like the ones that you're talking about.
Sure. So right before going into that, I'm actually going to pull something up real quick. Another thing that's really important is affinity. And all of these things we're talking about work way better if you have affinity with your audience, which in my mind is the result of creating know and trust. And so when you're recommending something, it works a lot better if you have trust with them essentially, but affinity is where they really follow you. And so the triangle of insight is a great way to kickstart that. It's like the brief version of how to do that. Another example, real quick, is yeah, okay, I'll come back to that. So the triangle of insight is basically in my experience, it's one of the best ways to bridge a new topic over to your audience. So if you're giving them great content on whatever the subject matter might be, a lot of times it's just like, hey, here's 7 tips or 10 tips for whatever. Or if there's a new promo, it's like, hey, have you ever had this problem? Go check out this product. And so the triangle of insight is the distilled best approach for just opening their minds up to something, whether it's something directly related to your audience or outside of it. And Travis Sago has a really great approach for doing that, which is the triangle of insight. And I'm actually pulling up. I'm going to see if I can find a good picture of it. I should have had this prepared. Basically, one of the key things to start with is the symptom. Like a lot of people, they start with the promise or the benefit or the outcome, and you do want to touch on that. But the best entry point is the symptom. And the reason why is because when somebody's going through pain, that's what they're thinking about. If you have a toothache, which I actually had a toothache at the event, it's like the thing that I was thinking about all the time, even in the middle of running a 90-person event in person. I was still just like every time the adrenaline died down just a little bit, my tooth came right back to top of mind. And so if you're speaking to whatever the pain point is that they're going through, you're going to immediately get their attention a lot better. And that's one of the key things is to talk to their symptoms first. And so the triangle of insight and is wisdom, metaphor, and then the offer. And so those are the 3 points if you think about a triangle of insight. So you want to start with the symptom, or sorry, the offer is like the outside is the symptom, the wisdom, and the metaphor. And so basically, some of the key points of the symptom is that you just want to make it super visceral, like something that they can really relate to, that goes more in depth. Like he has this example of what he was actually in the relationship market and we would cross promote each other quite a bit. And you could say, are you losing intimacy in your relationship? And if you say that, it's maybe, I'm not sure. It's hard to picture that and hard to connect with that. But then he talked about this story of the grandpa kisses, where it's, does your man kiss you like a grandpa versus like a movie star kiss? And those two examples are super high contrast. You could think about like the grandpa peck on the cheek or whatever versus the long, I can't, what's that old movie? I can't remember. Anyway, it's like not this really famous old romance movie that's in the example, but it's like he brought up an example of when he was a kid. Yeah, it was a
Casablanca.
yeah, that's probably it. Brought up when he was a kid, he would watch the movies and ask his mom, like, why are they kissing so long? But it's those long, passionate kisses. And in that audience, that's a really powerful contrast between those two things. And so that's one of the keys is, and the wisdom part is the contrast. So you want to start off with the symptom and talk about where they're at. And then in the wisdom, you talk about the contrast, the us versus them, the insight. And so coming up with the wisdom piece is tough. It's like that one, I can't remember which famous author it was from, but it's I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. It's taking the time to find that piece of wisdom that really clicks. And doing it manually is something that comes with practice, writing copy and different things. Um, and then the other piece of it is the metaphor. And I think a lot of people miss the metaphor. Travis also calls it the kitchen table logic, which I really like that term. It's where it connects the dots for you and for the reader, where they're like, oh, that makes total sense. I have a bizarre example, but it's one of the best examples that I've thought of in a long time. And I have a buddy that does a lot of sales in the erectile dysfunction market. And so he had all of this science behind how leaky gut syndrome connects to erectile dysfunction. And he had, in one of his sales letters, he had 2 or 3 pages of science about why his solution helps with the problem. But then in one of our masterminds, I reminded him about how important it is to have childlike explanations for things. And so when you have this problem, it's if you're in the backyard watering the garden and the hose gets kinked, like that's how things go. As soon as you fix this problem, it's like it gets unkinked and then boom, everything works. And he literally took 2.5 pages of copy and turned it into a third of a page and just used that metaphor. And then his conversions just absolutely skyrocketed in his sales messaging. And so that's the importance of the metaphor because it connects the dots for people super, super quickly. So symptom, you want to try to find the most top of mind pain point for them. And in this case, when we're talking about bridging over to a new market, you want to think of if they're in the relationship market and you're trying to go on a date and you're getting ready for the date and you open up one of your drawers and there's all these unopened bills in the drawer and you're thinking about going and spending all this money with somebody, it's pretty tough to have an enthusiastic love of life. So that's like the symptom where you really connect. And then the wisdom is that all you need is one stream of income that just augments everything else you're doing, one extra stream of income, something that doesn't take up that much time, that's easy for you to do, and it can completely change everything. And the metaphor is, I don't have a good metaphor right off the top of my head. I have to think about it. That's the thing is with all three of these, it takes a good amount of thinking through it if you're doing it manually. And we're going to talk about how you no longer have to do it manually, but it's a valuable thing to learn. But anyway, yeah. So to recap, the triangle of insight is a really powerful way to open up these new concepts to your audience. And I've seen the results of just throwing together a promo email and promoting something new versus a triangle of insight email. Just absolutely one completely eclipses the other. It just does so much better. And then also to circle back around to the pent up demand. So pent up demand isn't just cross market, like relationships over to business opportunity or over to fitness or over to personal development. It's also from low to high ticket. A lot of times there's people in an audience that want a high ticket solution because in their mind they equate a high ticket solution with getting the result fast. Or they might equate it with a physical, they might prefer a physical solution or in person. But anyway, in every list, there are many pockets of different pent-up demand. And if you can see those pockets, you can make a lot more money. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to own the audience either. If you have the ability to uncover these pockets, you can do it for other businesses for very handsome fees and or percentage upside.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Jordan. And I think it's a great way to set the stage for what we're going to demonstrate. And again, like bringing it back to we're talking about the implementation side of things and how does AI help do this? And when we showed some people at your event the Found Many bot in the first place, especially ones that were already professional copywriters that are doing this stuff already because it's just part of what their roles are with working with clients. They're like, this is a godsend. This is saving me so much time and just getting, again, 80% of the way there through that blank page that we're talking about, making these connections and using a tool like this version of how we've created an AI system to help with augmenting this process can have some powerful implications if you are putting this into action. And if anyone here that does have an existing list or an audience or a customer base that you're working with, our goal with this type of tool is that you can take it and then you could work through the copy that it's going to generate and the different potential complementary offers that you can tie back into it and go put it into action right away. And so I think now is a good transition to just walking you through. I'll share a link to the screen as well, how to operate this tool specifically. And we'll do a live run through of it as well and fill out some of the context. And maybe Jordan, you could have some ideas for the email or whatever, and then we can walk through the document so people can see how it works. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Actually, first I'm going to share a link to the Found Money bot. Then I will share my screen just to quickly recap. The purpose of this AI system is to unlock hidden revenue opportunities and discover untapped markets, boost revenue with AI powered insights. So you guys have met Jordan already. I'm going to be using this to identify untapped market segments and recommend potential affiliate opportunities and other complementary products without adding any extra ad spend, and ultimately to help businesses find new opportunities in their existing customer base. It's going to be a very simple process for getting through here. We're just going to be uploading what we say is emails. You could go you can run through this a few times. We could upload subject lines for your top performing emails that you've sent. This is all context to feed the AI so it gets some more information about who you are and who you're serving and what's already working well for you. You can add full emails, I believe, in here. You can upload context. We're going to start with probably just a few subject lines and then a URL. And so the way that Chris has this set up is that it's going to go and find a product page or anything that you upload here, and it's going to scrape that for context as well so that it has a really comprehensive idea about what you're selling and identifying the potential segments that you are already probably selling it to and maybe some that you haven't considered selling it to. And so if you guys go ahead and scan this right now, this should bring you to the Found Money AI bot page. I'll leave this up for just a second in this front, and then we'll walk through a bit more on this page and make sure that you guys have access to scanning this. There's a few more QR codes as I scroll down here. So if you're scanning it right now, or if you need to go back, if you're watching the replay, to pause and scan it whenever you're ready, go through and watch us do the presentation and see. And if you can follow along, that's great. But just know that you can always come back through and run it again And if you need to spend any time getting your information, that's fine. So what you're going to see and what we'll dive into is the step one, right? So we're going to be filling out our name, your product information, your email, customer service website, and then a file or text upload here. And by the way, this website was built in Gamma, one of our sponsors for the summit. I think we built and updated this in a very short amount of time when we got it set up, but just because we got our third Gamma session here this afternoon. Um, Avatar identification is what's going to be happening after you enter that information. So avatar identification, what the AI is going to do is going to identify between 3 and 5 potential customer avatars based on the information that you're providing. It's going to give you demographics, interests, and pain points. And then it's up to you as the user, the human in the loop, to select, review, and then select which avatars align with you. And again, what we'll see here, you'll get an avatar output like this, and you'll select the boxes that make sense. You could select all of them, you could select 1 or 2 of them, but the point is select the ones that you know to be true or you'd want to explore more of. And if one is just totally off base, just don't bother selecting it. Once you do that, you'll get a confirmation, and then it should take just a couple minutes for the email to come through your system. And I don't think you use this word directly, Jordan, but honeypot markets. It's these different downstream opportunities based on the selected avatars and identifying potentially these overlooked opportunities, but also what you're going to find in that email and the document that we're sending you is identifying complementary products and services that you can plug in as these bolt-on offers that you could be directing people to. When you get an email, you're going to get a report right here. And we're also built a complementary companion GPT using ChatGPT that you'll be able to upload your report to and then interact with it and ask it for maybe some more copies, some more ideas, some more potential products, and continue the conversation from there. And the report will look something like this from the top down, and we will basically share that. We'll walk through that concept. But again, the whole bridge concept that we're talking about here with that triangle of insight is going to be identifying the symptom of Hell Island, the wisdom, and then the metaphor. So it's going to get you started on what these could look like for the different segments that we've identified. But again, different products and different revenue streams, you'll get that inside of an email, and then the messaging to speak directly to these markets. And also, if you go to this website, thefoundmoneyai.com, you'll be able to click this directly, and that'll open up inside of a ChatGPT instance where we'd recommend just taking that document, attaching the file, and then interacting within your own instance right there. And so that said, before we move on to the demonstrations, or any notes, Jordan or Chris, on your end before we start walking through?
Nothing here.
I don't have anything.
Cool. So if you guys are ready and you do select Find Money at the top, this is going to open up the app that we built in a tool called Replit, which if you guys are interested in anything that Chris is doing in terms of AI agents and using no-code tools and other tools to generate and create apps and products, Replit was a tool that Chris used to create this, and we can maybe get into a little bit of that sometime during this call, Chris. But I'm just going to ask you, Jordan, in an interview kind of style, is there any products or services that you think would be a good example that we could use here? And just based on, maybe it could be relationship, it could be golf, it could be any number of things.
Let me just go look up the top ClickBank offer. So you just need a URL?
Yep. And just maybe a few email texts or subject lines or anything related to the context that would be aligned with what performs well already with a given offer.
Okay. Actually, I have a really interesting one. Let me see if this one will be challenging, I think. But let's see, numerologist.com. Let's try that one out. And then for the there's plenty of copy on that page. Let me grab.
Are you sending this to me in the chat here, or are you sending it in Messenger?
Here, I'll drop it in the chat real quick, or in Messenger real quick. So here's the site. And then let me get a couple of, you said some of the swipes would be good.
Yeah, so some like good email subject lines that might be from the swipe files that, or hey, these are some of our top email subject lines that work opens with our audience.
I'll drop that in here as well. I say this one might be challenging just because it's so all-encompassing, but it'll be a great case study, I think. So
cool. So I'm just gonna say my name is gonna be numerologist. numerologist.com. Add that here.
So organized.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna share the document you shared with me because again, like the context in is gonna inform the outputs here. So what you sent was a swipe file for emails that are already available with this offer, and so we see these are like email one. Here's 4 subject lines. So I could
Mhm.
just take these and I don't know, Chris, is there a limit to how much you'd recommend uploading to this specifically for that? I guess what we could do is just download this document and upload it as a file also.
Yeah, I don't think there's a limit. 4,000 tokens, I think, would be the limit, which is 3,000 words. I'm just guessing.
So it's going to be a lot more than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take email one. I'm going to copy the subject line and I'm going to paste that in here. I'm going to move down to email two. Copy email two. And then let's do one more email right here. So I got top 3 emails, and each of those emails has 4 different subject lines. From this point, I'm going to go ahead and click next. Oh, oops. I should have put the URL HTTPS, so we'll see if this actually works or if we need to reset it. That was something that we found out should need to have the HTTPS on the website. So click enter too soon. Give it a second. We'll see if it works through. Oh, it worked. Cool. So here we see now on step 2 is going to be choosing your avatars. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got a Sophia Martinez, 28, female, Austin, Texas. Interests, spirituality, astrology, yoga, personal development, values, pain points, specific problems. Right. And so we've got, and I'm not an expert in this niche by any means.
He's being modest. He's one of the foremost experts. I'm just kidding.
I'm not good at math, dude. What are you talking about? Not what numerology means, I know. Question, Chris, if you want to respond to that about a minimum or maximum number of emails to upload for best performance.
No, there isn't one that the AI will figure all that stuff out. So just, I would just pick your top, maybe your 4 or 5 top performing ones, and it'll figure it out from there.
And so just to clarify on this piece, and correct me if I'm wrong, Darby, but for this, the point of this part is to refine who they think their avatar is. So we choose a couple of these that most closely align with who they're planning on their avatar, who they think their avatar is as the product owner.
And with that, if this is my product and I was like, oh, I never would have considered this type of person, that would be interesting to see like what if that person is on my list potentially. But I've also
Mhm.
heard even from the events, it was like, oh yeah, that's not right at all. That's like somebody that is totally outside of who we're trying to serve because they have
Mhm.
their own niche inside of the market. For example, this guy James Peterson, interest, leadership, finance, feeling detached from life's purpose. Maybe man market is more male heavy or more female heavy, right? But that there's 2 males, there's 3 females. We might just check all of these if we want to just see how they all roll, unless you'd have any.
Well, knowing Blair, I would say that first one is fairly accurate. Let's see. Let's see. Lack of balance in life. Great. I think those next 2 are fairly accurate. I would skip James. I mean, that last one could probably work too.
After self-selecting the ones that we think would be good to explore more, we'll just go ahead and click next. And from this point, I'm going to pull up my email in another tab and take a few minutes to send through. But now what's happening is the whole AI automation is going on. Not only take what we've identified as our top markets here, giving us more information about that specific segment of the market, but then it's going to be writing out drafted emails that will help with coming up with that bridge context and selecting those additional products that we could review. So we'll give it a minute. We have a few questions while that report is generating.
I would say for Coach JP,
Let's read the question as well.
yeah, what should best be defined by conversions or open rates? Should I include both types of emails? That's a good question. I would probably lean more towards open rates generally. If you're using open rates like bad news that are ambiguous, if you know the conversion rates on them, I don't know. I would take the Venn diagram approach of a mix of the two. If you have tons of examples to work through, I would take the highest converting and highest open rate. If the subject lines are clear, I think the open rates would probably be a bigger indicator.
It's on the last step, Darby. So should be
Oh,
finished
great.
here
Okay,
shortly.
awesome. Let's see one other question. Mix of question. Let me see. That was an interesting, as I was given a mix of men and women. What is interesting is my audience is my Facebook group where I have about 35,000 members, about 98% females. I would say the female bots are right on point. We're representing the people in my Facebook group. Awesome. All right, cool. So I just got an email. So if you guys are going through this process with us live or through the replay, that was just a few minutes. I got my email here. And I'm going to pull up the document. So now I just
You're dropping out. I think there's a
we've got
problem with
our
your
chosen avatars.
there's a problem with your microphone, I think, the connection.
Yeah, give me a second. How's that sound?
Better.
Test. All right. So now we've got our report. We've got our identified chosen avatars. We can see right here. It's listing this information out, which I think a lot of this was what was on the initial self-select. And so we have the multiple avatars. I like using the tabs over here so I can jump back and forth to things pretty quickly. Again, as a quick reference point and similar to what we do with the market toss and the segmentation, we're just seeing the different segments of our market and identifying now like potential downstream markets. And analyzing these segments, here's a breakdown of each segment: digital spiritual communities, work-life integration coaching, cultural wisdom retreats, holistic health workshops, intergenerational community projects. Never even heard of that word before, but maybe that's something that would be aligned with this type of audience, right? And I don't know how familiar you are with this market, Jordan, but in seeing some of these for downstream markets, potential for cross promotion and collaboration amongst
Yeah,
this for the
definitely.
numerology niche.
Yeah, the quite a few. I think the retreats could make a lot of sense. The holistic health workshops, all of those. Yeah, the higher ticket, the better for these, just because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these are actually fairly aligned. The digital spiritual communities, the work-life integration is not super aligned, but could do super well. Yeah, I think these are really good.
I think it's interesting. It's identifying these here, and then it's, hey, this is the avatars that would be most interested in this and
Mhm.
alignment opportunities and what that would work. And so now what it's going to do is after identifying these different downstream markets, we have the bridge concept right here for each different segment. So bridge concept, right? The symptom of Hell Island, feeling spiritually isolated and disconnected from communities that align with personal beliefs and practices. Wisdom, spiritual fulfillment comes from a sense of belonging and participating in shared experiences that resonate with your inner truths. And then a metaphor. Imagine your spirit as a radio. When it turned to the right frequency, you connect effortlessly to the music, a community amplifying your inner peace and shared understanding.
Yeah, this is awesome
And
because
so
I could
from,
easily take 3 hours
yeah,
to research and put together, and it's just boom.
yeah, and then like yeah, like you said, even just coming up with the initial idea for a metaphor in some cases can just take a lot of brain power or calories that you're like trying to think through and how that would work. Then we get the next one, work-life integration, right? Struggling to maintain balance. Achieving harmony isn't about balancing opposites, but integrating it into a cohesive whole. Then the metaphor here is think of life as a puzzle. When personal growth and personal goals interlock seamlessly, they create a picture of fulfillment and success. Like even I can see the connection right there with something like that, with just like a quick little one sentence metaphor to tie it all together. And maybe like in a simple email, it's have you been struggling with maintaining a balance between professional ambition and your personal well being? And does this lead to burnout and dissatisfaction? Then here's the wisdom that would be the next line. Well, think of it as a puzzle. Join us for a free workshop or a video I just put together, right? Having some sort of lead into it. And, oh, that makes sense. I might want to click on that because I identify with the symptom here. And then it's bridging that concept. Same thing goes with like the next segments that we've identified, get those different bridge concepts and again, talking about the realm, you may find that it actually pulls out links to specific offers. Some of you may find those links are to actual relevant offers that are legit, or sometimes AI will maybe pull a link that isn't working. Sometimes it's going to describe what the offer could be, and then you could simply take this and then go to something like ChatGPT and search for that type of offer. And so that could be like the last phase of how we demonstrate this. But then here we've got the whole triangle of insight and the bridge concept above. Well, now we have our actionable steps, cold outreach template. This says cold outreach template. And you can see it's using that same framework to open up an email for that particular downstream market. So you have some starter points for the emails. Got 10 total templates that you could work and build off of. So here's where we're at. So this is, I spoke too soon. So at the affiliate offers, so product name, path aligned numerology guide. And then it's going to give a description of what this offer is. Again, you could always do more research for these offers, but if we have, see, this may be a real legitimate offer, or it might have just made up an offer and otherwise. And so you might need to go, you'll find that. But I do find that sometimes these links do work.
Yeah, the idea initially was to plug these into a database of offers that we had, but this could also be used for building a new product.
Yeah, it's a great offer idea simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that we will be working
Yeah,
on.
so now
Is
we have
I was just going to say that's something we will be working on is the actual offer database of proven high converting offers. We just haven't had a chance to sit down and do that yet, but that's something that we'll be doing.
And then I think they were at the last part of the additional revenue streams, right? Online course description, title description. It's giving you numbers of different ideas and commission opportunities and affiliate partnerships and astrology apps. So if I'm running a numerology business and I have people that I'm working with, some of these would maybe potentially align perfectly. And there may be products out there that we can partner with right away that could help bring that to life. And so now once I have a report like this, I can just go ahead and download it and then open up my Found Money bot. And so now I can just start to talk to ChatGPT based on what is going on in here. And maybe you could probably even go use something like Perplexity for this to find, hey, here's the context of what I'm looking for. Help me find more products and offers or services that I could tie it into. But again, using this as your knowledge base that it will reference back to. And again, aligning with all of these, find links to these products, please. And so now it's going to go ahead and start searching, Googling, whatever, binging the internet. And again, going down to the next step to finding products and links and other things. Yeah, as we noticed, that link that it provided wasn't actually legit, but we can see right here by Clever Fox Self-Care Journal. And so now it's finding us journals that we could affiliate with or find or otherwise. So is it Headspace?
This would be great for Amazon affiliate products, even if you wanted to promote those.
Absolutely. And I think, like, in a nutshell, like what we just covered there is just accelerating the time that it would take to even identify the segments for one, but then how would you even talk to this segment in a way that's going to be relevant to them of where they're at with the symptom that they're experiencing that they want to get away from, integrating that wisdom to tie things together and driving them to signing up or exploring more about an opportunity. And again, if it's a high ticket thing that you're bringing to a low, like a customer that's bought a $27 book from you or something along those lines, a lot of ways that you can plug this in and open up some new profit centers from your existing customer base without having to create a new product. But also, like you mentioned, is a product simulation here. With AI now, a lot of these products would probably be created relatively quickly if you wanted to put your bandwidth towards building a product that would make sense with this, or just again affiliating with one of these tools in their own program or otherwise. And that puts us about 48 minutes in. We got about 10 minutes left here during this workshop. Any questions or any comments related to going through this process? Again, that's foundmoneybot.ai for you guys to go through and do the process yourself, get an email, identifying those opportunities to then go and put them into action. But yeah, thank you, Jordan, for coming on for this. And of course, looking forward to building on the next stage of it and with what we've got planned for the next developments of this bot. But I certainly hope that those here at the summit are can see the use of this within your own customer base, at least for helping save time and identifying those opportunities and how to craft the language that would help bridge those concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to point out, this is a bi-directional tool. If you have something high ticket that you're looking to get lead flow from, this is a great way for it to, you can use this to point out different ways to plug into other people's traffic as well. And one of the bots that there's plenty of different bots inside of this toolkit that Darby and Chris and I are cooking on. And one of them is an indicator of when people in low ticket audiences are ready for a high ticket option. That's one I've been brewing on. I haven't told you guys about yet. But it's going to be, I have a couple of examples of that. And anyway, I love brewing on this stuff, but this one is just direct found money for audience owners or direct lead flow for people that are selling something mid to high ticket. And yeah, and just excited for people to use it and start getting results.
Something just occurred to me that I hadn't thought of before. I think it'd be cool to add like a partnership proposal generation to this. So like where you would select an offer and then it would generate a proposal for that, for the owner of that offer to do, where you share your audiences, basically do some kind of shared offer or shared promotion.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Testing out and seeing how Perplexity works with this on the Perplexity Pro, just because for search, especially. I just add find products and sources for contacts I can connect with. And so I just attached that document that we generated for the context. And so now it's like spiritual community platforms, witching hour, spiritual forums, Tiny Buddha, social awakening. So now I've got a whole list of potential partners I can go and reach out to and connect with to open up that conversation that's going to align with the audience that would be bringing these products to. And I think this would be one of the benefits of when someone was talking yesterday. What's the benefit of pro versus the free for Perplexity? I think you're going to be limited on what you can upload for context and potentially the level of outputs. If you just have the free account, I'm not exactly sure to what degree, but we definitely recommend Perplexity for putting some rocket fuel to your search efforts online. All right, guys. Any last questions or otherwise from anyone here? Love to hear if you guys did you guys find this helpful? Can you guys see where this could plug in with your own business? Let me know in the comments. Getting like a cool Christian. Thanks, Jordan. Got a lot of new ideas. That's great. Cool. Belinda, thanks. This was great. It's awesome to hear. We'll be adding this links to the Scale with AI Summit directory as well. Cool, really cool idea. Michael says to help with optimizations. Fantastic tool, says Doran. Awesome, guys. Glad you find it useful. Hopefully my delay isn't too bad right now, though it sounds like it may be. I think Jordan, I think we're all set on today's show. And yeah, I look forward to, let me see. Yeah, where can people connect with you, Jordan, before you leave? I want to make sure that those that are interested in connecting with you directly and learning more about your profit multipliers mastermind and what you got cooking, where should people reach out?
Yeah, I created a quick link here. Yeah, Darby and Chris are both in the Rising Tide Collective, which is the mastermind where we focus on the found money side of things and have some really high caliber businesses creating these cross-pollination opportunities. So if you run an offer that is getting traction and you're looking to plug into a lot of deal flow, or if you're looking for more opportunities to monetize, it might be a good place to check out. And I'll have the recordings of the event sometime soon, but super open to conversations until then. If this kind of thing jives with you, we're doing some pretty cool stuff in that group.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jordan, for showing up today for this event. Yeah.
I'm
Take
low
some time
energy right
to
now.
recover for sure.
I'm usually much higher energy, but no, thank you for the opportunity, Darby, and I appreciate everything.
Yeah, we appreciate you pushing through, and yeah, it's great stuff. And I'm really looking forward to everything that you've got going and seeing how things grow from the Profits Multipliers Mastermind. So, John said no seafood today.
That's a great tip. Awesome. Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a few-minute break before we tune into the next workshop session with none other than our Director of Wisdom and co-host of the Scale with AI Summit, Kelly Tenney.